Hello, this is Alex again. You haven't heard from me for quite a while, but I'm here in Nepal and I'm going to bring you a game. Now, one of the wonderful things about traveling is you can get to meet lots of people from lots of different places and make new friends. And today I'd like to introduce you to one of my new friends, International Master Atanu Lahiri from Calcutta, or Kolkata as it's called now, India. And he played an absolutely brilliant game in the tournament in Charikot in the 9th round. And I'll pass you over to Atanu and let him describe the game for you.
Hello Alex, hello all of you. This game which I played was in the 9th round of this Charikot International Tournament. Charikot, as Alex has written in his blog, is one of the most beautiful places in the Himalayas. It's a very nice place for tourism, but I'm not sure how nice it is for chess. But as an outsiders, as foreigners, we went there to encourage the organizers for this tournament. And we were not having a very nice tournament as such. But if I remember this tournament, if I want to recall, it is specifically because of this round, the game which I played against my opponent. His name is Madan Kayastha. He is one of my former students. I have taken lessons about 6 years ago when I was in Kathmandu in a camp which was organized by the Indian Embassy of Kathmandu. So at that time he was a young boy. Now he has become one of the promising players of Nepal. So we can start the game. This is Karo-Kan. And well, I don't play e4 normally, and I wanted to play some classical chess after ed and bishop d3. c4 is much more popular. Bishop d3 is simply an exchange variation which has been played by Fischer, but it's considered to be harmless. According to me, it's just like Carlsbad's structure reversed, as if White is playing Queen's Gambit declined, but of course White is a few tempi up, and he has bishops developed first because White wants to play knight f3 at a time when Black has played pawn to e6. Here for Black played e6, which I believe is a small mistake. There were much better moves, for instance pawn on g6 or bishop to g4. But after e6, the bishop on c8 is shut out of play. And it's a copybook example of how White gets advantage from this position. After bishop d6, the normal move is bishop takes d6, but I preferred bishop g3. Of course, Black can take bishop takes g3, but it opens the h file for the rook. And along with the bishop on d3, knight on f3, it gives excellent chances of attack on the h line. So, Black castled, White plays knight bd2, Black plays queen c7. Here Black is planning to play e5, freeing the c8 bishop, even at the cost of ceding an isolated pawn on d5. White plays queen e2, Black plays rook e8. I feel knight d7 might have been a better try to play e5. So during the game I thought this is better. And after castle e5, de, knight e5, Black has an isolated pawn, and there is a good danger that he may land up in a knight on f3 against the light square black bishop. That means the e6 bishop or c8 bishop. And of course White has an advantage, but it's more of a technical nature than attacking. White will have to play a long game to exploit that advantage. Instead, the game went rook e8 and White played knight e5. It's a good move, stopping e5, and now the rook on e8 looks silly. He played bishop e5, g e5, knight d7. Here Of course, white can play pawn to f4, knight to f3, but white played something which is better. He castled. The main reason is he has better way to defend the e5 pawn. Had white played knight f3, the previous move, the queen gets stuck on e2. Now white wants to play queen h5 and knight f3 later. It's important to note that knight e5 pawn cannot be taken now. If knight e5, well, if black takes knight, 13th move knight e5, this one.
This one? That
Yeah.
one.
So white will pin the knight with the idea to take bishop takes e5. f6 is forced, and now bishop h7. If black takes king h7, white plays queen h5 check. The e8 rook is defenseless. If king f7, queen h5 check wins the e8 rook. So black doesn't take knight e5. He plays knight f8, which is a good move. It defends the h7 pawn. White plays rook e1. Well, those of us who have studied Nimzowitsch, this is a typical move of overprotection. You overprotect the e5 pawn so that any of the pieces protecting the e5 pawn can be freed any moment. Black played queen d8. Probably he wants to play f6 and queen f6. f6, and after ef6, queen f6, and the bind is well challenged. White played queen h5, now f6, ef6, queen f6, e8 rook is unsupported. So queen h5 is a nice move. It stops h5, f6, and also prepares to bring fresh ammunition. Knight on d2 comes to f3, g5. Here my opponent played knight g6. Probably it was simply better to keep developing. Bishop d7. I played knight f3. Now white threatens knight to g5 from f3. And well, any move like say knight to e7 is met by knight g5. Threatening mate on it, h7, and if h6, white takes knight f7, king f7, and bishop h4. It's a very nice move. Now both the knights are pinned. If black plays, white simply threatens to take bishop on g6 or bishop on e7. If, for instance, black plays queen c7, white can take bishop e7 followed by queen g6. That's winning. So, well, after knight f3, my opponent, after a long reflection, plays knight f8, which I don't like. Black did have some defense by playing h6. By sacrificing a pawn, if white takes the pawn, of course white's better, but his attacking piece, the bishop on d3, is exchanged, and it's difficult to play for a checkmate from here. And black can always hope to take shelter in some opposite color bishop ending, so that well, of course white is better, but at least black can hope for a defense. He played knight f8, which is a waste of time. I played rook e3. It's a very nice move, simply improving the position of the rook, and now the rook can shift on the third rank and threaten the black king. Black plays knight e7. Well, white plays bishop h4, clearing the g3 square for the rook, as well as planning to exchange this defensive knight. On e7, black plays queen c7, unpinning the knight. And of course white does have some other ways to win, but I found out one of the most thematic and a memorable combination from here. white to play and win, almost win by force. White plays bishop h7 check. Now h7 is defended and black is playing knight e7 to g6, the next move, protecting almost everything on the king side. So before black does that, bishop h7 is a wonderful move, ripping the black king. Knight g7 is the only defense, of course, knight h7. The idea is knight g5. White threatens f7 and h7. So knight takes g5 is the only move. After bishop g5, white threatens rook h3 and queen h8 mate. Mate on h8. And well, if black plays knight g6, white still plays rook h3, threatening queen h7 and queen h8, sacrificing the queen and checkmate because the king can't escape on e7. Bishop g5 is there. And despite being a piece up, black is defenseless, partly because the a8 rook and bishop on c8 are not participating in defense. Well, if black plays g6, not here, if black plays g6, queen h8 is a very tempting move. But unfortunately it doesn't work because after rook h3, black can always play king f8 and rook h8, knight g8. So white has to play simple queen g4 with the idea of bishop f6 and rook h3. There is no way how black can defend against this threat. If black plays, for instance, f5 now, I had calculated simply queen h4 and rook h3. Black is still defenseless. Bishop also joins the attack with bishop f6 next. So black played what looks to be the best defense here. He played king f8 with the idea of playing knight g8 and defending. But still white crashes through. Queen h8, knight g8, bishop f6. This is the key. This is the main idea behind the whole combination. The king is trapped on f8. White sacrifices the second piece. gf6, ef6 threatens queen g7 mate. So rook d8 is the only move. Of course, white can play queen g7 here now. And well, after queen g7, king e8, queen g8, king d7, queen f7, king c6. White is 3 pawns up and white is definitely close to win, but it will take a long time to push the pawns and queen them. White played something which is much more effective. On rook d8, white plays rook g3. He threatens rook g8 checkmate. So the only move for black is king e8. And once again the same story, white can still take queen g8 and queen f7 with 3 pawns and 3 dangerous pass pawns for a piece. But white goes for something even more. The position demands that you should play for checkmate. Rook g7 is a very instructive move because it prevents the king's escape. King d7, rook f7 and the c7 queen will be gone. So white is not interested to take back material. He is interested to checkmate his opponent. Black plays queen b6. This is the only move. If the queen moves elsewhere, well, white can continue as in the game, or he can take rook g8 and rook d8. The d8 rook must have a defense. Now white plays another very brilliant move, that is rook f7. After queen b6, black was threatening to escape. King d7 and king c6, the king escapes the strangle. Now rook f7 threatens queen g8 mate. So the king can't escape. And the only move is king f7. After queen g7, king e8, f7. Well, white is one rook and two pieces down. But now he gets back everything with dividend. Two queens, and he gets back the knight as well. King d6 is the only move. The rest is easy. White plays queen f7. Even now he has to be careful, because if he plays queen to h7, black can always play rook d7, getting back one of the queens. White loses one of the queens, so white has to be a bit careful. Okay, where are we? And queen. Black plays bishop d7. White plays queen e7. This is a very easy part of the game. I believe many players would beat grandmasters from this position. With a queen up and also exposed king, white plans rook e6. Black plays rook c8, defending the queen. White plays queen e5. Well, when you're ahead in material, one should exchange pieces. So queen e5, and black plays rook e8, allowing the fourth sacrifice, that is queen e6. White sacrifices a queen, and now there's a forced checkmate. Bishop e6, rook e6, king b4, and queen b4.
Well done, Atana. That was a brilliant game.
Thanks, Alex. This was one of the good games which I played in this tournament, and it made my visit to Charikot not only interesting from touristic point of view, but also chess point of view.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that game, everybody, and I'll catch you all back in Australia very soon. Okay, bye-bye.